Welcome to Bounce, playful, unfussy conversations with SoCal's arts and culture stars. I'm your host, Susan Petrella, a lifelong arts and culture patron/advocate, and the rock star consultant who rockets your business to success. Each Wednesday, I'm hanging out with cool, clever, creative individuals. Today's guest is Karen Thayer. Karen says working with clay can be a mystery. By nature, mysteries are questions never resolved. Some answers may come at a geologic pace, slowly, or sometimes all of a sudden, but any answer begs another question. The process of exploration keeps me wondering. And Karen's all about clay, and she's a ceramicist. So she's got a BFA from Syracuse, an MFA from Ohio State. She's here locally, and she's got a wonderful exhibit of her sculptural pieces here at the gallery. And welcome, Karen.
Thank you.
So clay, tell me about clay.
Okay.
And why clay?
Clay is a big world, and I came to it in college in a roundabout way. I started out as a theater arts major, technical theater. And when I found myself at Long Beach State, I'm a Southern California native, I started at Long Beach State, and when I met the people in theater at Long Beach, I was a little overwhelmed by how not grounded they were. I wandered over to the art department, which was the next building over, and I started taking art classes. And the moment I took a ceramic class, I knew that's where I belonged. And there's a fairly common feeling about experiencing clay for the first time as a maker, somebody who works with clay, that it threads throughout most of the ceramic community. In 2000, I think it was the year 2000, LA County Museum of Art had a show called Color and Fire. And accompanying that was a catalog and a videotape. It was VHS tape at the time. And they interviewed the artists that were included, all contemporary artists, okay. A lot of them local Southern California people, but across the country too. And each one of them told a story about how they came to clay, and none of them came from a clay background. They were musicians, they were scientists, they were historians, they were anything but an art major. They took a clay class and it's like, sign me up for the rest of your life. Yeah. And that's where I am still.
Okay. But why? Why? What is it about clay?
That's a good question. I don't really know the answer to that. I accept that it is. Okay. I've heard people say that it's kind of the original alchemy. It's the transformative process of working with mud. You're making mud pies. Okay. And you submit it to the fire 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 12 times, however many you need to do to get something that you're interested in pursuing. And each time it is completely transformed from that mucky stuff that you can push around. It feels good. Yeah. It feels really good.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Kind of like baking or cooking?
Well,
you're cooking with clay. You're more cooking with clay, right?
Yeah, it's, there's a science to it, but there's
so many variables.
Yes, there's so many variables. You can take it so many ways, and I'm always amazed at what people do with clay as a material. Other ceramic artists. I mean, there are just so many possibilities that it astonishes me when I look at what other ceramic artists are doing with clay.
So I want to talk about what she's doing now with the sculptural works, but you didn't start that way.
No, I was a 70s second generation kind of student. The 50s kind of started the clay revolution, taking it out of the decorative arts community, pottery, craft world that was always a stepchild to
right,
yeah,
right,
to
fine art.
Yes, sculpture and painting and architecture. So I started in a pottery background, and I love making pottery, and I still make it, but not as much as I do now. I'm more focused on sculptural objects. The Pots, though, still have a presence in my life. Those are vessel forms that I'm still working with. But, they don't really serve a purpose other than to be what they are. And whatever anybody reads into those pieces, I don't really know. I just am compelled to make them. So I love pots. I love potters. I look at them. I buy their work. My kitchen's full of other people's pots. And, I still make stuff in a vessel form that is functional.
Okay. And so how did the transformation come about?
Graduate school just kind of puts your head in a different place.
Okay.
They ask you a lot of questions, and you start asking yourself a lot more questions about what do you want to do with this stuff for the rest of your life. And that started the conceptual process of why are you working with this material in the first place. Even though I'm still making pots, I start thinking about the concept of, well, what is this material about and what can I do with it?
Okay.
And I've always been interested in landscape from an aerial perspective. And that started when I was a child. My father had a small plane. He was a pilot in World War II, and he just loved flying so much. He and a buddy bought a little Cessna that seated 3 people, but we got stuffed in the back as kids. It was kind of like the station wagon. So I was looking down on the ground from above, and that just opened my eyes in a way that really registered on me, and it's stayed with me ever since. So all of my work involves looking at surfaces from an aerial perspective, and I macro and micro those perspectives in my ceramic work.
But there's also varied elements in there. You said something, you mentioned about collecting. You're out walking and you collect rocks and such. And
I walk and hike a lot, and I always find a rock in my hand that I pick up as I go along, and they started coming home with me, and then I started having too many rocks in my backyard laying around, and I thought, well, I'm doing this for a reason. I might need to do something with this. So it's like, okay, let's do something with that. And I started incorporating them in my work. And then that moved out of the just picking something up casually, collecting process, to seeking out more interesting and differently colored minerals, which is where clay is coming from in the first place.
okay.
So I go to gem and mineral shows now and look for things that captivate me, and I take them back to the studio, and it's like, okay, I pick them up and I look at them, mostly color, texture, and form. So
Did you do a
pretty
sketch
formal work.
ahead of time of a piece, or?
No, I'm very hands-on.
Okay.
And Lori, my friend, goes to these gem and mineral shows with me, and she sees me zero in on something, and I pick it up and I start turning it around, and she sees my wheels turning. So it's like it comes home with me, and then I start building around that. And
So it calls your name at the gem shows, in a sense.
yeah, well, and the price tag does too. There are some really expensive minerals out in the world. They're really astonishing as collectible objects in and of themselves, but I incorporate them into my work at this point.
So you just step into the studio and start pulling things together?
I have
Pulling elements together?
a table full of things to look at, but I usually start with 1 or 2 things that I've recently brought home and work with them,
Okay.
and then go back to other things. And I've got a library of minerals, and I've got a library of ceramic textiles. So I start putting colors and surfaces, clays and glazes, together with the minerals that I accumulate at this point. Yeah.
So how long would a piece take to create, the ones? And how are they glued together?
There is a story.
You'll have to see there in the case there.
A very, very revered Japanese potter, a master.
Okay.
I don't think he's alive anymore, but he makes cups. And somebody, probably an American, walks up to him and says, this cup. It's like, how long did it take you to make that cup? And he said, it took me 30 years to make that cup.
Okay.
Everything that came before that cup went into that cup. So
Okay.
I don't know how to answer a question like that. It's really a process.
Okay.
And, I'm not usually working on one piece at a time. just because you're making the piece, you fire it once to harden the clay, you add a glaze to it, you fire it again, you don't like the glaze, you fire it again, you don't like that glaze, you fire it again, and then you start grinding and cutting to make things fit, because ceramics involves a lot of shrinkage, and you're working with a found object that doesn't move, and you have to work around that. So you have to plan a little bit with what you start with in clay, accounting for the shrinkage so that the rock that you're going to incorporate still fits in the way that you're kind of seeing it. But you have to adapt and adjust and cut and grind and sand and
Sure, there are a
and
lot of
repeat.
Imperfections, a lot of mistakes.
There's a lot of testing and process.
Okay.
Testing and process that you go through. Yeah, I might make a piece once. I might make a piece 3, 4, 5 times before I get it to do what I want it to do in combination.
Okay. So you really love this new kind of sculptural.
I've had people ask me, why are you doing that? It's like, what, do you like doing that? And I like the challenge. Yes, I do. I like the challenge. I have a vision. I want it to look a certain way. So I'm kind of imposing my will on these materials, but they're also talking back to you all the time.
Because that was one of my questions, like, when do you know that it's like done?
How do you know when a painting's done?
Yeah, I know.
It's just done.
Yeah, it's just done. It's just done.
Either that or you're tired of working on it and you set it aside. So sometimes it's not very often. You set something aside and you think it's done, and then it sits around for a long time. Then you look at it again. I mean, I'm talking years it sits around. You look at it again and go, oh, yeah, this would really help if I did something else to this piece.
And titles? How do titles come about?
The titles are all based on my interest in landscape. Again, my interpretation of landscape is looking from an aerial perspective on the surface of the earth. So the things that really interest me are the geological forms and surfaces of the natural world, but there's always an overlay of human intervention on that surface. So those kinds of things get layered in the work that I do.
Any particular geographic area?
I spend a lot of time in the desert, so there's that. I'm fascinated by Iceland. I've never been. We've got to go. Because there are certain people who won't travel to Iceland. It's cold. Yeah. But I would love to go to Iceland.
I'm following a cat in Iceland now, because his name is Volvo on Instagram.
The things that I do, I see. These are just imaginings. They're really not based on things that I see, but when I create a piece, I will be somewhere. Like I was in Africa last year and I saw Kilimanjaro from Kenya, and looking across the land to the mountain that was topped by clouds just hit exactly one of those pieces that I made over there.
And which piece was that?
This one. There's one that's not in here.
This one?
Mm-hmm.
Above and below?
Yeah, it's a series of, I work in series, and the series above and below connects the earth to the sky with a mineral in between.
And how many in a series?
It really depends. Yeah. I
So,
don't know.
so what have you got coming up for this coming year?
I'm trying to consolidate my studio. I think Ashley was talking about, consolidating things, and you try and clean up your mess sometimes. And ceramics generally is a mess that keeps expanding. If you go to any ceramic studio at a university, it's a mess. And it expands outward. So I'm trying to keep it minimalized. I have a lot of stuff that I'm trying to use up. Some of them are bags of clay that are 10 or 15 or 20 years old. I don't know. They're just solid
I was going to say,
pieces
can you
of
still
terrain.
work with that?
If you get
something
a hammer, a chisel, a saw, and a drill, yes.
Okay.
Yes, but it's not malleable
So it's very
anymore.
physical.
It's very physical work. Yeah.
Okay, so you don't have to go to the gym and lift weights or anything like that?
I
She does too.
Oh, she does
I
too.
don't.
Keep in shape to.
Yeah, I don't, but I do.
You don't,
Yeah,
but you do.
Yeah.
To be able to chisel and.
I think I've taught for years. I'm retired from teaching at this point, but everybody who took ceramics, you realize how physical it is, but they just love it. It's, you can get all your frustrations out by pounding on that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keeps you sane.
It's very
huh?
satisfying.
Very interesting. So, yeah, so thank you very much. You've made bounce. Special thank you to our generous sponsor, Coastline College, the Fine Arts Department and Art Gallery, David Michael Lee, Director, Curator, and Professor. He's also our wonderful producer. Thank you, David.
I have a question.
Sure, okay.
The amount of letting go that it takes, so when, things break or when it shrinks and it doesn't fit, because you're working with an inert object like a mineral, and then clay, which is obviously contracting after you fire it, right? The amount of letting go, was that something that kind of wore down your edges early on when you were in school? Was it really frustrating? Because things don't always work out, they break.
Yeah, I wasn't doing this kind of stuff where you have to fit something in with the clay. It was all clay-based for many, many years. And the mineral, working with the minerals in combination is really in the last 5 to 6 years. So that's new. So
There had to be.
shrinking clay is just like, you live with it. It's just part of it.
That would be hard for me, I think.
I'm sure it would be.
And why would that be, Lori? Why? Why would that be challenging?
Well, I have a totally different process. I'm very organic and additive, but Karen does both. She does subtractive and additive, and she's also very mathematical. And that part of it, to me, to be mathematical and have this vision in your head, the geometry of it, to have it not quite measure up, or after it's fired, I guess. I don't know, I almost think of it as like glass blowing in a way, where you have to let go of the end result. It's out of your control in some ways.
Well, that is true. It is out of your control, but you learn to manage it and accept it. It's just, we're talking 40, 50 years of work now. So it becomes intuitive. It becomes more intuitive.
Do you ever though, because if it were me, I'd be like, well, I'll just add some more stuff over here, and I'll just, you don't do that though.
No.
No, this is not what I'm seeing, what I want it to be, so you don't make the cut, smash, and then you make it again.
I love my hammer.
Yeah.
Yes.
She does.
Yes.
Yeah. I love my hammer. It's my friend.
I just keep adding, and she's like, nope.
Nope.
Yep.
Out.
Yeah.
Mineral-wise, what's been the most interesting sort
Oh.
of mineral that you've
That's
found?
a good question.
Found or
Found,
purchased?
Purchased.
Yeah. I would love to purchase some of the things that I just can't afford.
Yeah.
They're very expensive. They're very collectible. There's a whole world that I know nothing about. Those people who are gem and mineral crazy that go to Tucson, which is like the big international show in this country. It's astonishing, the things that they find. I can't believe they dig this stuff up and how they process these minerals. My jaw is on the floor.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to me. And I would love to work with a lot of that stuff, but I can't afford to do it. It's like $20,000, $50,000 little minerals in your hand.
Yeah.
And then there's these massive things that are they're sculpture.
Yeah.
They're beautiful. Yeah.
Is
They're
there
complete
anything-
in and of themselves. I couldn't improve on them. They're just so
You
stunning.
can melt that stuff down to molten and then pour it in cast rock.
You know, rock will change, just like clay transforms. It is rock that has degraded into a very fine particle.
Yeah.
You work with it by adding water and it's
Yeah.
malleable, and then you submit it to the heat again and it turns back into rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what ceramics is all about. You're turning a rock into another kind of rock, just a different shape. So you can fire those minerals that are gorgeous and stunning, but you will transform them, the alchemy of working with ceramics. They will not look anything like they do because the earth formed them under pressure and heat already. And you submit them to heat again and they'll change. You don't know what you're going to get. So I don't fire the rocks except when I know, like quartz, you can fire quartz pretty easily and it won't change color if it's clear quartz. But if it's contaminated with other minerals, the colors will change. Yeah.
So you add it after you?
Yeah,
you're-
I'm working with fired ceramic pieces
Right.
that I've imagined will fit this found object that I have, the stone.
I see,
Yeah.
so you leave openings or you,
There's-
when you fire, for instance?
Yeah, angles and edges, so I have to kind of fit the ceramic to the incorporated stone. And then sometimes I have to cut and grind to make it more
That's what I was wondering.
refined,
Okay.
because it is, I'm very particular about the way that things fit together.
Yeah, the rest on one another.
Yeah, they're
That's
kind-
got to
yeah.
be very mathematical, some of the
Oh,
pieces.
it's just,
to-
it's called working with a grinder.
You high fire or low fire?
This is high fire, yeah. Yeah.
Are there any high fire kilns available around here?
How much
You-
money you got?
A ton.
You know, there are a lot of commercial venues that will fire for a fee.
Okay.
There's usually pretty prohibitive, like they don't want to take on your responsibility,
Mhm.
your potential mess in their equipment.
see. Okay.
So, yeah, it costs some money
Yeah.
to do that, but there are studios, quite a few. It's amazing how the ceramic world has expanded from where it was in the 60s and 70s. It was really,
There's a lot of
information
low
was,
fire,
there was
I
no
know.
equipment, there was, people were like really guarded with their recipes. Now everything's out everywhere. And there are
Okay.
commercial products that are available that are
You
wonderful.
don't have to take a class and then they fire it. Like, just
Yeah.
pay 'em to fire it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you would struggle to find people that would want to take it on unless you know what you're doing, because you can really damage equipment and it's expensive.
Sometimes they blow up, right?
Blow up sometimes.
The blowing up and the melting in unexpected ways. So yeah, things blow up and it affects everything around it. Glazes melt, you know, then it's stuck to the shelf or the floor or the walls or whatever, and you got to grind it and repair it. That's no fun. Yeah, it's a lot of work. Ceramics is a very physical material to work with.
Yeah.
But it is. It's what you do, and you love it. And
Yeah.
it's okay. It's okay.
You know, it's just fascinating, just what everybody chooses.
It is. Yeah.